everyone, it's me Vic. Today I wanted to talk about Wavelink 2.0 and Discord. Now, traditionally I prefer to have my microphone just go directly to Discord, but in the event that you're actually streaming, for example, a capture card such as an Elgato 4K-X or an Elgato 4K Pro, or their Neo line, or the HD60X, any of their capture cards, or any capture card in general for that matter. I'm making this video because I ran into an issue where I was clicking device using microphone for my Discord, but nobody could hear the game. So we're gonna get started about that, right? So here we go. We've got my screen loaded here. We're gonna look at Discord settings, and I do have it set to wavelength stream when it comes to actually streaming, but I'll explain why. Typically I have it on microphone effects and then my output going to voice chat. And for those who were watching last night's stream, you'll know that I had my buddies on the voice chat coming through that particular voice chat routing on the audio in my OBS, so that way people could hear what my buddies were saying while we were playing Dead by Daylight, right? Well, that's kind of like how Discord works for me. That's what I prefer. However, every now and then I do stream into my Discord channel comms, and so usually I'll go to comms, I'll click here, I'll join voice, and then I'll share my screen, right? But there's different options that you can do, such as applications. I'm sorry, I'm just making sure it's available on all of the platforms that I'm recording for. Applications, entire screen, or devices. So devices is kind of where everybody comes to when they want to just stream their capture card, right? What they've been doing as a workaround is streaming the application, such as Elgato Studio, for example, right? But that's not what you want to do, right? You actually want to stream the device, because the device is really going to show you the gameplay, unless you're using virtual camera. Well, then if you're using virtual camera, remember, there's no audio coming to virtual camera either. So like if you were doing an OBS virtual camera, the same thing is going to happen here. So I could share my Elgato virtual camera, I could share Meld Studio, or OBS virtual camera. Let's go to share screen, go to device, and just go to the capture card, right? So there we go. See how it has the application, but what we want is the device, so Elgato 4K Pro. Now we can see the capture card in Discord, right? But like if I was playing, nobody would hear anything because they can't hear the audio. They just can't hear it. Because they can hear the microphone. For example, I unmute myself, you see the little green icon going through, right? But they're hearing just my microphone, they're not hearing the game. So what's the workaround? Well, in Wavelink, right, there's this feature where you go to voice and video and you just select wavelength stream. Now, doing this runs into two problems. You're basically having double audio here. So I could essentially do the game, right, because the game is being routed. I could do it that way. As you can see, I wasn't talking, and you see how the little icon shows green, right? It's showing green right here when I'm not talking, so let's look. So that's how we know that the actual game audio is going to Discord. The thing is, the microphone doubles. So to prevent that, you mute your mic, and essentially they should still be able to hear the audio. And I've tested this in a call just to make sure that it was working. That is the workaround when it comes to streaming your audio to Discord, when it comes to the game capture device. If you do not have Wavelink, right? Like if you don't have something like that, Voicemeeter would suffice. If you don't prefer to use Voicemeeter and you just want to use standard Windows, then I would recommend sharing your desktop audio. That would be the only other way. The problem is with your desktop audio, they're still going to hear everything on your system, including themselves, like if they're talking during the live or whatever. So that's a potential issue to run into. That's kind of where Wavelink 2.0 comes in handy, is that you can mute the mic here and they'll still hear the audio coming through here, meaning they can still hear my microphone coming through here without me actually unmuting myself. So that way they don't hear the double audio. Anyways, I wanted to make this video because somebody had asked, well, how do they get to hear my game? You could do one of two things. If you don't feel like talking, you could literally just select your capture card right here and it'll just basically have them hear the audio, as well as your voice chat would be coming through. So like if your buddies were talking, you could hear them, right? If you were using Wavelink though, there's no need for this, but that would be the only way. I want to say it's a little interesting how Discord has everything set up and configured. I feel like there should be an input device for your microphone, and then there should be a game input device, and then your output device should be your voice chat. I feel like that's something that they should do. That is the workaround for now. I know it says I'm currently muted, but like I said, they can actually hear me here in the comms, which I am going to actually end because I don't need to be in there. But that's essentially how it works when it comes to Discord for now. So if you have Wavelink 2.0 or even Voicemeeter, you're able to do those things. For those who've been wanting that workaround to get the audio to work, that is the only way that I have figured it out to relay those things. So Wavelink Stream comes in very handy. Now, that being said, I want to mention, because I forgot about this, there is the plugin, right? If you have a Stream Deck device, and I say device because there's numerous ones. There's Stream Deck Plus, there's the combos, there's the XL, there's the standard Stream Deck 15 key, there's the virtual Stream Deck, there's the Stream Deck Neo. So there's an array of Stream Decks, right? You're going to want to install this plugin. This plugin is going to be what you're going to need to use this function right here and right here. So when I want to just have it with my microphone and maybe my camera, I'm going to choose microphone effects, right? So I'll just set that there. Now, if I was streaming, I would choose the second one right here. And how you know they change, you usually hear, or you'll usually go into your settings and see that it's swapped. We can check that, but the first thing that you're going to want to do, see where it says set audio device? This is how you would configure it. And yeah, I have cursor G keys. Now you could do set input, set output, or set both. And I always select set both. And then what I'm gonna do is select my microphone effects, and I'm gonna select voice chat. So if I ever plug in a device or whatever, this would be the go-to button to hit and say, no, I want my Discord to always be this. And if it changes for whatever reason, I just hit this button and it does it for me. But if I wanted to do Wavelink Stream, right? So that way when I'm actually like doing any gameplay streaming or even using a virtual camera streaming to Discord, I would just set it to this, Wavelink Stream and then voice chat. That way people can hear what I want them to hear. Okay, let's see if it updated in Discord. So let's go to settings. Let's go to voice and video. We're gonna look at voice, and it should set it to stream. And if I toggle it, now I hit the button, you could see that it changes it. If I hit the button again, it's changing it, right? So this is how I know it's being changed, is by that function. And that's gonna come in handy whether you want to use it for your microphone or your stream. I hope that helps. And again, happy streaming, happy gaming, and enjoy Discord. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.